there was a rule in the ancient world. So dangerous, it was rarely spoken out loud. If you talk too much, you lose power. Because the first person to speak is the first person to reveal themselves. And the one who reveals themselves first is the easiest to control. Now, let's go back to the beginning. In the ancient world, silence was never empty. It was never just nothing. It was a presence, a decision, a quiet kind of strength that people could feel, even if they couldn't explain it. Today, many believe power belongs to those who speak well. Those who can answer fast, dominate a room, always have something to say. But long ago, many ancient civilizations believed something very different. They believed power belonged to the watcher, the one who listens, the one who stands inside a room full of voices and stays calm. Because ancient people lived close to consequence. A wrong word could start a feud, a careless promise could bind you for years. Even a small insult could spread through a village like smoke and return as something dangerous. So words were not treated like casual sounds. Words were treated like fire. Useful, but never harmless. And that is why so many ancient societies admired those who spoke less. Not because they were weak, not because they were shy, but because they understood a hidden rule. When you speak, you reveal your shape. You reveal what you want. You reveal what you fear. You reveal what you are trying to protect. And the moment your inner world becomes visible, you become easier to control. To the ancient mind, the loud person was often the predictable one. You could hear their hunger for attention. You could feel their need to win every moment. Their voice moved too quickly, as if silence itself was dangerous to them. But the quiet person was difficult to read. And what cannot be read cannot be trapped. That is why silence carried authority. People noticed it the way they noticed a storm building far away. A silent person didn't need to announce their power. The room could sense it. Across different ancient lands, there was a belief that returned again and again. Before you speak, the world speaks to you first, but only if you are quiet enough to hear it. Because the ancients trusted observation more than conversation. Conversation could be decoration. Conversation could be disguise. But observation revealed what was underneath. And once you understand this, you begin to see something clearly. Ancient people were not simply quiet. They were trained watchers. They studied faces. They studied pauses. They studied the moment someone spoke too much or too quickly. Because words can be crafted, but behavior is harder to fake. In ancient Egypt, silence was connected to a deeper idea of order. Not just order in society, but order inside the human being. The Egyptians believed a person who could control their mouth could control their life, because the mouth is where emotions escape: anger, pride, fear, jealousy. So restraint became a kind of protection. The silent one became like a locked door, and locked doors create something powerful in the minds of others: curiosity. Because when someone refuses to reveal themselves, people begin to imagine what is hidden. And imagination is stronger than truth. In ancient India, many traditions believed that speech was energy, that every word takes something from you, that speaking constantly scatters the mind like wind scattering sand. So silence was a way to gather yourself back, to pull your attention inward, to hear your thoughts before they become noise. And the ancients noticed something simple. Some people speak because they have something to say. But many people speak because they cannot endure silence. They speak to escape themselves. They speak to fill the emptiness. But a person who can endure silence becomes dangerous in a different way. Because they cannot be rushed. They cannot be pulled into reaction. They cannot be controlled by pressure. And in ancient Greece, they understood this too. They believed wisdom wasn't loud confidence. Wisdom was timing, the ability to wait. Because the person who speaks too soon becomes trapped by their own words. Once you say something out loud, pride begins to defend it, even if it is wrong. Silence keeps you flexible. Silence keeps you free. And in ancient China, silence became strategy. The wise learned not to reveal their desires too quickly. Because once your desires are visible, someone else can use them. If they know what you want, they can tempt you. If they know what you fear, they can threaten you. So the Watcher stayed unknown, and what is unknown cannot be easily defeated. That is the hidden thread across civilizations. Ancient people watched more than they spoke because they knew speech creates a shape around you. The moment you speak, you declare yourself. And once you declare yourself, the world begins to respond. Expectations appear, judgment appears, pressure appears. Your freedom becomes smaller. But silence keeps possibilities open. Silence keeps your power unspent. It allows you to see the room before the room sees you. And maybe this is the real ancient mystery. What if silence was never about being quiet? What if silence was about being free? Free from impulse. Free from proving yourself. Free from leaking your inner world into the hands of others. Because perhaps the oldest kind of knowledge is not something you learn, but something you notice when you stop speaking long enough. So the question is not only, why did ancient people watch more than they spoke? The deeper question is, what did they see that we no longer notice?